Hello everyone, this is game 2 of the round 2 of the World Chess Cup. Yesterday there were a few sensational games, results. For example, Rapid World Chess Champion Vodar Murzin lost with white pieces. Gukesh, let's say, made a draw against lower rated opponent with white pieces. But today there are a lot more sensations, and about one of them we will talk about right now. And this is a game of Jan Nepomniachtchi, who's several times participated World Championship match against Dink, against Magnus Carlsen, and here he actually hasn't qualified for the World Cup yet. Because all the other spots were already taken. So here it is his last chance to try to get to candidates. He had been participating in them a lot, and this is a World Cup, so this is the first game. He's playing against the Indian chess player who actually was born in the same year as me in 1998, Diptayan Ghosh. In the first round, Diptayan managed to win against Chinese player whose rating was a little bit lower than his, 25-20. He managed to win it on tie breaks. Two of the games in classical chess were just even, and he got paired with Jan Nepomniachtchi in the bracket. And of course, nobody gave chances, including us, because we had already a video with the predictions to this World Cup where we actually praised Jan Nepomniachtchi a lot, keeping in mind that this is his last chance. But let's see what happened. First game between these opponents ended in a draw. Ghosh played with white pieces. It was super easy draw for Jan, and in this game Jan probably needed to win, show something. Let's see how that goes. Jan starts with e4, and this is Ruy Lopez. The most classical line for now, Rook e1. Again, super classical. There are different ways how to play nowadays. d3 is one of the main alternatives that is played on the top level for ages. It has slightly other ideas. After Rook e1, idea of white usually is to play c3 and continue with d4, trying to fight for the center and grab it. And right here, Nepomniachtchi didn't play c3. You might ask me why didn't he play it? Because it makes total sense. We're just playing c3. Normally d6 is the move, then we go h3 to prevent bishop g4, then we go d4, knight usually rotates right here, and white has some slightly more space and slightly better chances to win. Of course, there are many systems and every engine will show you a draw, but white kinda has a better win percentage because we have some advantages that black doesn't. But I don't know, for the past 20 or more years, there is one big problem with the c3 move, and this problem called martial attack, which is a d5 move right here. You can say, are you nuts? This is like a free pawn. After e takes d5, knight d5, knight takes e5, knight takes e5, rook e5, white is up a pawn indeed. But right here, black develops a very strong counter-attack. After bishop d6, then queen goes to h4, then all the pieces come to the play, and it's really dangerous to continue like that for white. And normally, if the player plays martial attack, he knows what he's doing, and there are big chances that the draw will be somewhere, because again, people try different approaches, but engines say it's equal, and more or less always it leads to some forced draw or to the position where black has great compensation for the pawn and they do not really risk to lose unless they make a mistake somewhere. And Jan decided not to go against more or less Jan compared to him player, going for this sharp line. He didn't play c3, he played a4. Another alternative could be h3, where taking this pawn already would be slightly better scenario because we didn't play useless c3 move for this variation, or there are some super calm options like d3 which are not really that good, so Jan plays a4. Idea is that we're trying to take. If opponent takes, obviously it's bad, because it ruins the pawn structure of black, and the pawn on a6 will be isolated if we, for example, take with the rook or with the bishop. Either way should be fine. So, b4 was played, also the most typical answer. Right here, again, huge amount of possibilities. There are systems with d3, where we're trying to go for a slow play. There are ideas like a5, c3, which was tried many times as well. Then the bishop goes to c4, we retain a possibility playing d4 in the future, but here Jan plays d4. Actually, what I know from this line, that it's pretty drawish if black knows everything perfectly. Yes, black has some problems. Let's say black cannot take ED right now because we have an E5 push and great control over the center, so it's pretty dangerous to go for some like advantageous play. So let's say D6 was played in the game, Ghosh plays everything correctly. D was played because D5 doesn't make really any sense. It looks like attacking move. We are pressuring the knight, but instead we rather we forcing the knight to go to a better position, which a5 is definitely gonna be. After the knight takes e5, why knight e5, for example, why not pawn takes? Because black has slightly less space, and after knight e5 they can trade pieces, which is usually a good idea, because when you exchange, it like makes, it creates more room for the remaining pieces, and it's easier to play. Also, if white doesn't want to take and play some weird move like knight d4, for example, we can even play c5, c4. Right here, knight b2 was played. Jan says, you want to trade, alright, but act first. And right now, because it's pretty hard to carry on, white decided to take. And here we have the position where the only problem of black, really massive problem, is c4 square. So if white can utilize it, it can be pretty good for white. Black instead kind of took some space with the pawn pushes, and also their pieces can occupy great spots. Like both of the bishops can find some open diagonals. This dark square bishop can create a team up, some battery with the queen from d4 or b6, so counterplay definitely exists. And here Jan plays queen e2. It is a possibility, but mainly people here opted queen f3, and there is a big reason why. First of all, in general, in this kind of Italian structures, because it is a real opus, but in Italian very often positions like this occur, where idea of white can be tried to rotate the knight one way or another to f5, plus the queen from f3 can go, let's say, to g3 to create some threats, and if black just waits, white can develop pretty dangerous activity. Then bishop c5 is the main move. I'm pretty sure Diptayan would play it anyway in this game, because he played after queen e2, bishop c5, so I don't see any reasons to believe that he would do something the opposite after queen f3. And after, for example, knight c4 or knight f1, black has a great move, knight g4, looking for a counter-attack and preparing queen h4 idea. And after knight e3, it's possible to take. Engine actually recommends knight f6, which is ridiculous right here. It doesn't make any sense. We swinging back with no reason. But humans played right here queen h4, and after h3, if knight takes, we have slightly better position because our bishop, okay, that's a drunk bishop, our bishop is better on this diagonal than opponent's one. If let's say like take, and our piece is like slightly active as well, more active as well, we can take with the queen, go here, we can take with the rook and then apply pressure. Maybe I like more with the queen. So that would be the case. Or if, let's say, knight goes back, we everywhere have a very nasty knight f5 move, which would provide us with a bishop pair, and bishop pair is cool, because this bishop would have no competitors, no rivals, and therefore he will dominate. Instead, queen e2 happens. Of course, black responds with bishop c5, and right now Jan plays knight f3. Thing like that happened in the game between Sergei Karyakin and Magnus Carlsen. We will see how it went. Alternative still was knight c4, but it wouldn't be as successful, because in the similar line we have just seen, after h3, knight f6, we don't really have knight f5 anymore. We kinda do, but then we double our pawns, this pawn can start moving, so it's not as good as in queen f3 line. After knight f3, we obviously attack the pawn. Right now, knight g4 is a possibility, but it doesn't really create that much of a damage. For example, if like knight goes here, we can go bishop g5, for instance, trying to attack the queen, and tactics work out. We can defend, let's say, with bishop h4 if we ever attacked with h6, because f6 right now doesn't work, so it should be fine for white. But black played queen e7, the most reasonable move, defending the pawn that was attacked, and Magnus actually followed the same advice overall. And right here, something inexplicable happened, because Jan had like enough time and he decided to play h3. You might say, okay, it's a useful move against bishop g4, against knight g4, both of the moves. That is correct, but we still remember that this bishop hasn't moved yet since the beginning of the game. And where would it go? Of course to a6. And right now, the problem, I assume that that's what Nepo missed, because his opponent couldn't really believe his luck right here, spending the whole like 15 minutes for the most obvious move, probably making sure if everything is alright, and his opponent, like, is he bluffing or is he not? And the point is, we have bishop c4, simply offering a trade and improving the queen to a way better position on c4, where it can create a lot more pressure. But if you try to stop the video and find the move, or maybe you already saw it, because it was like all over the news that Nepomniachtchi got eliminated, right here you could see, or you can notice, that there is bishop of 2 move, which is an incredible resource. It's like a forced move, and after, for example, like king of 2, where queen still defends this guy, we have queen c5 check, which is a double attack, and we end up winning the pawn in the end of the line. Actually, Nepo should have gone for this line anyway, give up the pawn, but for at least activity. Right now we have opposite color bishops, and with opposite color bishops in the middle game, activity matters a lot, and after bishop g5 we create a pin, and we prepare idea of knight h4, which kind of meant to ruin the structure of the opponent some way if we take bishop f6, or even better, play knight f5 and have some knight g7 jumps later on, sacrifices and attacks. Black can prevent this pin by playing h6, but it would cost them a pawn, and black will have a better position after we win the pawn, because still, even though material will be equal, bishop is better than the knight in open positions, especially like on 2 flanks with many pawns on the light squares in the white's position, and the pawn on e4 is as well isolated, but that would be a lesser evil. So what Jan should have done instead, he probably should have followed Karakin's route, which is bishop e3, simply trading the bishop, and right now after bishop a6, bishop f2 is no longer an option, and we can all play bishop c4, which I find a little bit better, because after bishop e3, bishop takes a6, bishop goes back, bishop c4, we have a tiny advantage, or maybe not even bishop c4, but play like g3 to get rid of the pin as soon as possible, and place the bishop to c4 somewhere so that it was on the open diagonal, and try to bring the knight to the attack, where black probably wouldn't be able to do it so successfully, but it's probably around equality. But here Jan, I'm pretty sure, would not risk losing the game. Or let's say it's possible to play like Karakin did against Magnus in the Vaikanzea tournament 2018, if I remember correctly, and that's what happened in the game. Magnus, without big problems, made a draw because too many trades were committed. Instead, Jan doesn't understand the danger, or maybe he just blundered, knowing how fast he can play and some things he misses, and queen d1. He decides not to play bishop c4 and lose the pawn for an activity. He decides to say, okay, I'm gonna stay greedy, I'm gonna defend your attacking chances, and then I'm gonna be fine. Yes? No. We will see why no. Because rook d8, attacking the queen, right now there is a choice to play knight d2 or bishop d2. Knight d2 prepares queen f3, and then we moving away from the pin, which happened in the game, or bishop d2 is also the move. The problem with both moves is that we actually lose a pawn anyway, because for example right now after bishop b7 we cannot really defend this pawn. Knight g5 is just like ridiculous, and we can play queen e2, and probably that's what Jan didn't like. Engine likes it like more, because right here we have some pressure over there, maybe some jumps with the queen, we have like centralized pieces, and at least we have some sort of activity. Yeah, we are worse, but I mean, we at least stay active. After knight d2 we stay incredibly passive, and all the pieces kinda in the S, they're not coordinated, they're not doing much. But Jan hopes for better future. Let's say queen f3, knight f1, the knight will go to e3 and maybe to f5, the bishop could go to g5, but Indian chess player says no, he plays just bishop d4. And you can say, alright, and bishop d4, okay, who does he attack? The pawn, but it's defended. That is true, but if we recall that we wanted to play queen f3, and that's exactly what Jan did, here comes bishop takes b2. And we just dump the pawn. That's why I mentioned that we're about to lose the pawn anyway, because not playing queen f3 is just like terrible decision, because queen c5 can apply more pressure, so we cannot just wait, because black has a lot of improving moves. So Jan decides to give up a pawn for activity and for bishop pair. He plays queen e3, getting rid of the rook, and here he says, okay, my strong bishop is this one, this bishop is also good, I need to open up the position, and according to every strategical book, he's doing fine. He plays a 4 takes, and right now we already have some activity over there. If we manage somewhere play rook f1, it would be good. And maybe less experienced player, I don't know, 100 to 300 points less would really be scared, started going back, started making mistakes, but not Diptayan, because he played c5. And what about c5? It prepares super simple threat c4, and then this bishop will feel terrible, or this bishop will feel terrible, or maybe both of them, and it's very hard to stop it because we don't really have any power how to do it. We could try, yeah, as you can see, it's like even I accidentally pressed something is a good move. Like e5 doesn't really help because, for example, we have like some knight d5 at the very least, and Jan tries to go for a trick. He plays bishop d5, saying, okay, c4 right now, I don't care, and after knight d5, here we have opposite color bishop position. And if you ever heard such stories that when we talk about opposite color bishops, very often in the endgame, position can be drawish. So no matter you down 1 pawn, 2 pawns, you can try to hold it and build some fortress. But as you can see, it's too far away from the endgame. And when there are heavy pieces, activity matters the most. And here black has and more activity, I mean more active bishop, which can be pretty strong and useful. And in general, we have an extra pawn. This bishop is strong for now, yeah, and if white could play 2 moves in a row, they would definitely deliver the mate, but if black ever plays f6, this bishop is dead, and the remaining pawns are placed also on the dark squares against the bishop on d2. After queen d6, queen went to g4, queen g6, so black wants to trade queens, because if we manage to exchange queens, we will have an extra pawn, better bishop, and everything just fine for us. And white cannot really decline this trade, because, for example, queen c2 is a threat, this pawn is hanging, so we cannot defend everything. That's why Jan is taken, and I guess at this moment he already realizes that everything is going not like he expected, and he needs to, show some incredible effort to make a draw. What he didn't realize that actually it doesn't matter how much of an effort he's gonna put in it, it's not gonna help. Because right now Jan tries to advance the passed pawn, saying look how intimidating I am, rook d8, and here bishop e5 was played, honestly saying that after rook e5 looking for some activity, it wouldn't be that much better, because black could continue with their plan of pushing pawns, and white doesn't really have enough activity to compensate for it. Bishop e5 was the move, and after it, here black found not a brilliant maneuver, but very good play. Right now, 2 rooks guard the pawn, what piece is not working? King, who we cannot really improve yet, or not so clear what for, and the bishop, who can really create some damage, who can create threats. And that's why bishop b7 was played, because after bishop c6, pawn on a4 is under attack, and one of the rooks of white has to spend resources to defend it. And after bishop g3, bishop c6, rook a1, that's exactly what happened. Right now black realizes, okay, time for the king. That's a game-changing piece usually in endgames. Here king f7, and h4 was played to prevent any sort of g5 moves, but it's already an agony, because black just plays c4, trying to play b3, and after capture we can try to promote this pawn to the queen quite easily. Rook d1 was played, let's say if not rook d1, but waiting on e2 and trying to play rook e1, it wouldn't really help a lot, because we have 2 rooks to guard the 7th rank, and one of the rooks will promote the pawn quite easily. And after rook d1, rook e8, the game continues, but black slowly but surely improve everything. Right here, g5, great tactical trick, because it removes the main accomplishment of white, which is a passed pawn on d6, and white couldn't really dodge this exchange. And after 8, black just doubles. Jan already looking for desperate tricks, even though after rook e3, rook takes c6, rook c6 here, it's still absolutely winning for black, but it's probably what Jan was looking for, at least some tiny chance, because you need to fight till the end, especially in the World Cup, where you like either eliminated or not, and here, because of the draw in the first game, Jan doesn't have a lead, he cannot lose, otherwise he will be eliminated, and that's what happened, because right here this trade happened later on, and Jan just resigned because this rook comes to d2, playing rook d1 doesn't make any sense anymore, because we just up a pawn in the pawn endgame, the king will just come pick up the pawn or promote another pawn on the b or c file. That's a huge upset. Probably nobody expected Jan to lose so early, but I mean, great play by Indian chess player. I wish him all the best, all the luck after he brought down such a, I mean, huge chess star like Jan. He can probably do everything. I don't remember who he's gonna play against, but he will have enough time to prepare, because tomorrow there will be tie-break day. And yeah, wish him all the best, and Jan probably need to find his best shape, because lately his tournaments aren't going that well, and he doesn't have really like that big of accomplishments after like last candidates tournaments. Okay, so please comment down below, who do you support during this World Cup? Did you like this game? Did you expected it? And actually there will be another video from the same round, brilliant game by Pintala Hare Krishna. It will be posted tomorrow, like in the morning before the tie break, so that you had enough time to watch it. This game is like blow-minding, so really please like, subscribe, because yeah, then you can see this amazing game and my analysis as well. So see you later with next videos. Bye.